Well, everyone, my name is Chuck Prentner. I am one of the directors of franchise development with Right at Home. So glad that you are joining us for this 15-minute interview. And what we do here is we like to reach out to franchisees in the system, record a couple questions, just so you then have the opportunity to go in and really listen to what the people that do this every day have to say about Right at Home. So joining me today is Chrisy Heiss. Chrisy, tell me a little bit about your territory, where you are, when you joined, all that great stuff.
Great. Yeah. So thank you, Reddit him for having me on here today with you. So my territory is located in a southern part of Ohio, and I'm in a smaller community down here, but it's a very large territory. And I opened my doors. It's actually going to be a year next week from when I first opened my door. So I'm a new owner. And we have been growing the business successfully, and it comes with its ups and downs, but it's been a good start to our first year.
So you've been a franchisee almost 1 year. I'm putting this down on my
Correct.
calendar. I will send you a plant next week, so be on the lookout for that.
Thank you.
Now, before you became a franchisee, tell me a little bit about your background, what you were doing, what was just some of the professional experiences you had leading up to becoming part of Right at Home.
Yeah. I come from a therapy background, so I hold a professional license as a physical therapist assistant, and I worked in post-acute care basically primarily my entire career. So, which was probably about 15 years prior to looking at opening up a uh, franchisee or a franchise here in Mid Ohio Valley. And what I did was I worked as a physical therapist assistant or PTA. I moved into a rehab manager role. I then moved up within the same company to a uh, regional director of operations, where I was assisting and overseeing therapy practices and skilled nursing, home health, and doing some outpatient in home. And that was a wonderful career that gave me all kinds of insight on not only patient care, but also how to look at operation financially. And so from there, I kind of use that knowledge and that skill to start looking into purchasing my own territory here with Right at Home.
So let me ask you this. Why did you choose Right at Home? I'm sure there are a lot of other concepts maybe you were looking at, whether it was a franchise or an independent, maybe even a different, employment opportunity, but why did you ultimately go with Right at Home?
One of the, that's a great question, because a lot of people had asked me, why don't you just, do this on your own? You have all the experience, you have a lot of experience and that sort of thing. And I will say that a lot of it played into, I was planning on that time to leave a very nice, steady position that financially was very good for my family. And I honestly didn't feel like I had the time to delay creating the wheel. And so as I kind of started through my vetting process, I began to realize very quickly that I wanted to have, what was best for me was to have a franchise that I could kind of lean on and gain the support with. So, in selecting Right at Home, I, of course, looked at the mission and the values, and those certainly align. The reason why we are in healthcare is to improve the quality of life to those we serve, and that is their main mission with Right at Home. Secondly, where I live is a very much a rural area, and when I saw that there was a territory available in my backyard, I was shocked, and um, and so me and another owner started looking into this area that was right in my backyard. And we ended up, as we were going through this vetting process with you, Chuck, we ended up branching off and deciding to, and talking to some other owners within the franchise, decided, hey, it's probably best that we kind of both on our own territory. So this territory was available for me. That territory was available for her. And it was great because we actually got to work through the onboarding process with the franchise together. We opened our doors at the same time, so we've really been able to lean on one another, kind of like a co-worker, but owning our own business. And we have the flexibility and the freedom to kind of do, I do how I want to run my operations, and so does she. So, but we kind of align and shoot things off of one another to help, move our business along.
So here's a big question, and that is, walk me through a typical day. And why this is a big question, I always explain to people this kind of a virtual or invisible business. There's no storefront, there's no retail. You don't drive by it and get a dozen of them or anything like that, but it happens up and down every street in the entire country. But people struggle to understand, if I become a franchisee, what is it I actually do? So if you can, and I know it's impossible, walk me through a typical day, because I'm not sure there is one.
Yeah, you're right, Chuck. And actually, this was probably something that I was most nervous about. I came from a position where there was a lot of structure. I knew what I did on Mondays. I knew what I did on Tuesday mornings. I knew I had like these webinars or whatever I was doing on Wednesday afternoon. So walking into a day, I'll just kind of give you an example about my day so far today. So this morning I had planned to come into the office and prepare to work on my financials and, some of my QuickBooks and catching up on some of that stuff. However, the field had a different plan for me today. And so I ended up going to a client's house to help one of my newer caregivers get started on their shift and make sure that the client was comfortable. And I trained the caregiver. And then along the way, I was working with my assistant here in the office on putting out any fires that we had with staffing, if they were call-offs or people getting sick during shifts, or just questions about recruiting and kind of trying to push that forward. And so, the thing about this particular, being an owner, especially starting from the ground up, this was not a territory that I purchased that was turnkey ready. So this was a territory that I've been working very hard to build up, and from the ground level. And you have to have the ability to be able to wear all these hats, right? So you're going to be wearing a recruiting hat, a HR hat, a financial payroll hat, client care. So there's many times that I go out and I work shifts with my clients, and that might be that's mainly due to not maybe having a call off or things of that nature. But being a new business owner, those are things that I've had to do in order to push where I'm at today a year later. Now, I'm hoping as those years go on, we get better, we get more organized. I'm able to support a bigger administrative staff here in my office. But right now it's between me and my my assistant here in the office, who does a fabulous job. And probably a biggest piece of advice if someone were to be opening up a business from ground up is make sure you have someone in your office to really support you. Never really, the franchise through my vetting process kept on saying, you're going to need to have someone there in your office. And I'm like, I think I could do this, but okay, I'll look for someone who would probably be able to help me. And it is the truth that the more you will be more successful when you have someone here in your office that you can trust, that's just as invested as you are in pushing and building your business, and brings ideas and strategies to the table. And if you're out working a shift, they're fielding the calls, because it can sometimes be a slow day, and then other days it can be extremely, um, might say, organized chaos, chaotic, however you want to put that.
So let me ask you this. You're coming up on your year anniversary. Sounds like you have a great partner in your office. How many caregivers do you have?
We have, well, I always say, uh, what day do you want to ask me? But as of today, we probably have 40 plus that we're employing.
Super.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the people love hearing your story, but they're also looking at the idea of partnering with a franchise, and that's right at home. But when you look at your last year, maybe year and a half, even with training, you could even take it back to the evaluation process. What are some of the things that maybe you think are most valuable that right at home actually provided you?
Right. So certainly probably the most valuable is having a network of people to lean on. There, it's much more than just opening up your doors and providing care to your clients and your families. There's a lot of questions. If you're having to go through licensure or any of those pieces, that I will say is extremely helpful. We just recently was able to get contracted with the VA. My office was, and right at home, Doug Robertson was a big part of that in helping us get that push through. They, another thing that I like about Right at Home is they give you a team of support. So you have a Right Start coach. Mine, for example, is Daniel, and he does a great job. He has initially had weekly phone calls with me. We decided it wasn't really something that I needed to have weekly moving forward, but he is always available. And if I have a question, he seeks out the answer. I don't have to really search for it. And then he gets back to me. And so that has been amazing. The other thing is that I have found very beneficial is the online marketing specialist. I want to give Lisa Trudell has been amazing. She works extremely hard. She's very detailed. She'll have a call with you anytime. If you're not inclined with technology, if you don't do very well with that, she really helps kind of sort through those pieces for you. So then that way you're not out searching for any type of consultant fee, because a lot of this stuff the franchise already offers to you, and they will tell you that through your onboarding or through your training, check with us before you start purchasing something, and the other big piece that I found helpful too is all of the systems that make it easier to run your business. There's preferred partnerships that Right at Home has, and I have found them to be very successful. You guys do a great job vetting out those people and those folks to give us the best quality. And that is all something that if you didn't have a franchise to lean on, I would find that piece rather difficult. I'm more clinical, people skills. I'm all about my clients and families, and if I can focus on that and kind of have these things fall into place, and I just kind of have to get them implemented, up and running, start paying the bills, then that helps me focus on taking care of my clients and families and growing the business.
We're getting up against it. We're pretty much at the end of our time. I loved the questions and the answers up to this point, but let me ask you this one. You already mentioned having an assistant that you can trust and having that rapport, but what is maybe one piece of advice? Could be before someone even becomes a franchisee. What's one piece of advice you could offer people that are maybe viewing this recorded podcast at a later date that maybe they should ask themselves?
I would probably say, being a new owner and having a brand new territory, be prepared to put in the hours if you want your location to be successful. And if you are prepared to do that, you will succeed, and you will find that business starts coming to you. But pay attention to quality. Have a passion for taking care of another person. Um, you need to have that in order to make this successful. I feel personally, and yeah, I think it's the work ethic and the hours that you have to be prepared for. Talk to your family about it. Make sure that they're ready for that too.
Well, Christy, I certainly appreciated the last 15, 20 minutes. As always, it's just great talking to you. And hey, I wish you the continued best of luck. Look for my plant. And
Okay,
again, thank you so much for taking the time helping people in their evaluation process.
no problem. Thank you guys.